Good afternoon, students. Today's lecture, it's about calf muscles. So it is back of leg. So these are the SLOs, specific learning objectives of today's lecture. So at the end of the session, we should be able to describe and demonstrate the major muscles of back of leg with their attachments, nerves of play and action. And should describe and demonstrate the origin, course, and determination of the vessels and nerves of the back of leg. We should explain the concept of peripheral heart, the anatomical basis of calcaneal tendon rupture. So these are the SLOs for today's lecture. So coming to the back of leg. So what are the boundaries of back of leg? So the back of leg anteriorly, of course, it is bounded by the posterior surface of the tibia, interosseous membrane, fibula, the posterior intermuscular septum. Hope you know the intermuscular septum. That is a modification of the deep fascia. Is it clear? So you can see the muscles. So they are surrounded by sleeve-like. Okay, the fascia, what is called the intermuscular septae. Okay, so these are called intermuscular septae. This is interosseous membrane. So here comes the anterior compartment, and here comes the posterior compartment. Okay. So posteriorly, the deep fascia of the leg. So otherwise called fascia cruris. What is it called? Fascia cruris. What are the structures, the contents within the posterior compartment of the leg or the back of leg? So mainly we have skin, superficial fascia, the cutaneous nerves, the vessels, lymphatics, the fibrofatty tissue, the deep fascia, mainly the muscles, vessels, and nerves. Okay, so these are all the structures that will come across in the posterior compartment. So what are the cutaneous nerves? Mainly the skin or the back of leg is supplied by, so mainly these nerves. The saphenous nerve, because you know the longest cutaneous nerve in the body, the branch from the femoral nerve, the posterior region of the medial cutaneous nerve of thigh, okay, and the posterior cutaneous nerve of thigh, sural nerve, lateral cutaneous nerve of calf, sural communicating, and the medial calcaneal branch of the tibial nerve. So these are the cutaneous branches that supplies the skin or the posterior compartment of the leg. And coming to the vessels, so mainly the veins, the great saphenous vein, small saphenous vein, and its tributaries. So along with the veins, we have lymphatics also. So that's about the skin, superficial fascia consisting of the cutaneous nerves. Coming to the deep fascia of the back of leg is otherwise called fascia cruris. And mainly it shows these modifications, intermuscular septa, and we have the flexor retinaculum, modification of the deep fascia. So, you know the flexor retinaculum, its attachments anteriorly by the, so it is attached anterior attachment, mainly the posterior border of the and tip of the medial malleolus. So you can see here nicely the posterior border and the tip or the apex of the medial malleolus. Okay, anterior attachment, posterior attachment. It is attached to the medial tubercle of the calcaneum. So this is a bone, calcaneum bone. So in between these, the tibia and the calcaneum, so there comes the flexor retinaculum. Very important structures that lies underneath the flexor retinaculum. Most very important clinical aspect in relation to the flexor retinaculum. So we have the posterior, okay, of course, the dorsal syndrome. Okay, that we'll discuss later. We come to the muscles of back. What are the muscles that lies within the deep fascia? So mainly the muscles of back, we have superficial and deep muscles. What are the superficial muscles? The superficial muscles of back of leg, we have gastrocnemius, soleus, and plantaris. And the deep strata that constitutes the popliteus, flexor digitorum longus, flexor hallucis longus, and tibialis posterior. Okay. So these are the muscles, the superficial compartment, the superficial strata, okay, over the back of leg, mainly the gastrocnemius, so which has got two heads. So we have a medial head, lateral head, okay, and the plantar is soleus. So these three muscles together, so that forms the strongest tendon in the body. Is what is called Achilles tendon. Okay. So otherwise called the contribution of these three forms the triceps surae. What is called triceps surae? That is because of these three muscles contributing for the Achilles tendon. What is gastrocnemius? So its origin, insertion, nerve supply, action, blood supply. It arises, as I told, it has got two heads, the medial and lateral condyles of the femur. Okay. And the insertion, it is inserted in the Achilles tendon to the calcaneum. So what is called tendocalcaneus. So tendocalcaneus. Nerve supply, it is supplied with the tibial nerve. Action mainly is a plantar flexion at the ankle joint and flexes the leg. Okay. So that's about the action of the gastrocnemius supplied by the popliteal artery. Okay. So the next muscle, so it has got the majority of the tendinous part and very small fleshy part, homologous to the palmaris brevis in the upper limb. What is called plantaris, and this lies in between the soleus and gastrocnemius, sandwiched between these two muscles. Arises from the lateral supracondylar ridge of the femur, inserted into the calcanea. Of course, that is a tendocalcaneus. Through the tendocalcaneus, supplied by tibial nerve. So action is the plantar flexion of the ankle joint and flexes the leg. Okay. You can see here nicely the plantaris muscle. That lies in between the. I hope you you have studied this plantaris in the popliteal fossa. The infralateral boundary of the popliteal fossa is supplemented by plantaris. Okay, so apart from the lateral head of the gastrocnemius, the infralateral boundary supplemented by plantaris. Okay. So that's about the gastrocnemius and plantaris. So come to the very important muscle in the superficial strata of the back of leg. So we have the soleus. Okay, the soleus, the origin, it arises from the shaft of the tibia and fibula. So you know the soleal line. So on the tibia, so that gives origin to the soleus, inserted into the, of course, Achilles tendon, Achilles into the calcaneus, supplied by the tibial nerve, and the action is same, the plantar flexion, foot. Blood supply to the soleus is derived from the peroneal artery, which is branched from the posterior tibial artery. It's about the soleus muscle. So that lies underneath the gastrocnemius. So in between the gastrocnemius and soleus, the tendon of the plantaris. Okay. So that's about the soleus. So there is a special mention about the soleus here. So it is considered as peripheral heart. The reason for that is in the upright posture, the soleus is responsible for the pumping the venous blood back into the heart from the periphery. Of course, and it is often called skeletal muscle pump, the peripheral heart, or the sural pump. Okay. So that is the important function in the upright posture, the standing posture mainly. The contractions of the soleus muscle, so that facilitates the venous return against the gravity. So that's why it is considered as peripheral heart. And the soleus muscles have the higher proportion of the slow muscle fibers than many other muscles. Hope you know what is called slow muscle fibers, the fast fibers, slow fibers. Okay. What is the function of fast fibers? What is the function of slow fibers? Okay. So that's about the soleus and the superficial strata of the back of leg. Coming to the deep compartment, the deep strata of the back of leg. Okay. So we have the blood supply mainly the posterior tibial artery is innervated by the tibial nerve. These are the muscles that lies underneath the superficial strata of the back of leg. So we have popliteus, flexor digitorum longus, flexor hallucis longus, and the tibialis posterior. Tibialis posterior. So you can see the muscles nicely here. What is this muscle? Flexor digitorum longus, flexor hallucis longus, and the tibialis posterior. Here comes the triangular shaped muscle. Because this area exactly comes the soleal line. Above the soleal line is a triangular shaped muscle, what is called popliteus. So all these muscles are considered as the deep straight off the back of leg. So come to the popliteus. What is the origin of popliteus? It arises from the lateral condyle of the femur and the lateral meniscus, okay, inserted into the proximal shaft of the tibia. Proximal shaft of the tibia. So that is the origin of popliteus, and the insertion of the popliteus supplied by the tibial nerve. Action, it flexes and medially rotates the leg. Of course, very important muscle. What is called the unlocking muscle of the knee. Unlocking muscle of the knee. So it rotates the leg medial rotation of the leg and flexes the leg. So that is the function of the popliteus. So the flexor digitorum longus, it arises from the shaft of the tibia and inserted into the distal phalanges of the toe, the second to fifth. You can see here. So the digitorum has got 4 tendons. You can see the 4 tendons. Okay. So reaching the second to fifth toes. Supplied by the tibial nerve. So action is plantar flexion and inversion of the foot and flexes the toes. Okay. The flexor hallucis longus. The flexor hallucis longus, it arises from the shaft of the fibula and inserted into the base of the distal phalanx of the big toe, supplied by the tibial nerve, plantar flexion, as well as the inversion of the foot, the flexion of the great toe, the flexion of the great toe. Okay. So it's very important. So these two muscles, the flexor hallucis longus and flexor digitorum longus, these two muscles, with the help of this diagram, so you can see the flexor hallucis longus here and the flexor digitorum longus, the tendons of these two muscles that cross each other in the sole of the foot, in the sole of the foot. Okay. So and at that area, the flexor hallucis longus, it gives slips to the flexor digitorum longus, because reason here, the flexor digitorum, it is not that much bulkiest muscle comparatively the flexor hallucis muscle. So that is the reason the flexor hallucis, being a bulkiest muscle, it is supplying only one toe. But if you take the flexor digitorum longus, it is very thin and supplies the remaining 4 toes. So that is the reason the flexor hallucis longus, it gives slips. What are those slips called? Turner's slips. Okay. Turner's slips given by the flexor hallucis longus and the flexor digitorum longus. So that's about the flexor digitorum longus and flexor hallucis longus. Now the tibial is posterior. So there is a muscle deep. The tibial is posterior in the shafts of the tibia and fibula, interosseous membrane. The insert into the major tendon. Okay. Insertion passes to the tuberosity of the navicular bone. Okay. The posterior tendon slips passes to the calcaneus, the plantar surface of the all 3 cuneiforms, the cuboid, and the base of the second, third, and fourth metatarsals. Supplied by the tibial nerve, the plantar flexion, and the inversion of the foot. Okay. So that's about the tibialis posterior. You can see the gastrocnemius, the schematic diagram showing the gastrocnemius, the 2 heads of the gastrocnemius, medial head, lateral head. So very nicely the popliteal fossa forming the boundaries, infralateral, inframedial boundaries. And here comes the plantaris. So the tendon that lies in between the gastrocnemius and soleus. So soleus here, this is the soleus muscle. This is the soleal line, above the soleal line, below the soleal line. So again, the gastrocnemius, the cut ends of the gastrocnemius to show the soleus and okay, the plantaris. You see the popliteus here. So here, this is the area. You can see the two tendons crossing over in the sole of the foot. Okay. See the flexor digitorum. This flexor digitorum longus. Okay. And this flexor hallucis longus. You see the bulk of the flexor hallucis longus. Okay. And that is the reason the flexor digitorum, it receives the slips from the flexor hallucis longus. What are those slips called? Turner slips. So, come to the nerve supply and actions in the tibial nerve for all the muscles, plantar flexion, inversion mainly. Okay. All these muscles that maintains the longitudinal arch of the foot, and the unlocking muscle of the knee joint, what is called popliteus. So, the flexion at the knee joint, these muscles. Only the posterior tibial artery, the arterial supply to the back of leg is mainly by the posterior tibial artery, accompanies the tibial nerve. It supplies the posterior compartment muscles, mainly the deep muscles. So these are the branches in the course of the posterior tibial artery. So the posterior tibial artery, the lower part of the popliteus artery bifurcates into anterior tibial, posterior tibial. The posterior tibial that lies in the posterior compartment of the leg or back of leg, and gives these branches. The first branch, the main branch from posterior tibial artery, we have peroneal artery, the muscular branches, nutrient artery, circumflex fibular, and the communicating branches, malleolar, calcaneal branches. The terminal branches, we have medial and lateral plantar artery. So these are the terminal branches of posterior tibial artery. The posterior tibial artery that goes underneath the flexor retinaculum along with the tibial nerve. So the tibial nerve, the main nerve or the posterior compartment of the leg, is in the back of leg. So the large terminal branch of the sciatic nerve in the popliteal fossa. So the branches are the muscular branches, cutaneous branches, the sural nerve is branched from the tibial nerve, articular branches. So the articular branches are supero medial and infero-medial genicular and middle genicular. So these are the articular twigs by the tibial nerve. So after giving these branches, the tibial nerve underneath the flexor retinaculum, it enters the sole and divides into medial and lateral plantar nerves. So the muscular, see among the muscular branches, the nerve to popliteus has got special mention. So nerve to popliteus not only supplying the muscle popliteus, and also it supplies the superior inferior tibiofibular joints, the interosseous membrane, tibia bone, and also it gives twig to the tibialis posterior. So these are all the structures supplied by the nerve to popliteus, a muscular branch from the tibial nerve. Hope all of you seen the nerve to popliteus in the popliteal fossa dissection class. The posterior tibial vein, it is found by the level of lower border of popliteus. So it joins by the two vena comitatus. The posterior tibial artery, so it is accompanied by the vena comitatus. Okay. So finally, it drains into the popliteal vein. So that's about the posterior tibial bone. So these are the applied aspects. So we have tendocalcaneal rupture. Okay, so that is because of the forced plantar flexion. The forced plantar flexion that leads to the tendocalcaneal rupture, and the posterior compartment syndrome. So that is because of the compression of the compartments within the back of leg. So because of the highly vascular muscles that compresses the nerves and vessels within the compartments, so that leads to that gives severe pain, what is called posterior compartment syndrome. And the tennis leg, so that is because of the rupture of the gastrocnemius muscle. Okay, the direct injuries, and that might be the forced dorsiflexion. Sometimes forced dorsiflexion also leads to the tennis leg. Okay, and the tendon of plantar is, of course, it is used as a graft. The tendon of the plantars. The deep bone thrombosis The deep vein thrombosis, DVT, that is very important condition here, and it is life-threatening also if it reaches the lungs. So that is because of the thrombosis, the blood clots within the deep veins. Okay, it is very fatal condition if it reaches the lungs. So that is a deep vein thrombosis. The varicose vein, so that is because of the incompetency of the walls of the superficial veins of the lower limb. Okay, and the dorsal tunnel syndrome. So mainly that is because of okay, so the ankle sprains. So ankle sprains or any enlargement in the underneath the flexor retinaculum. So that might compress the tibial nerve. The compression of the tibial nerve within the tunnel underneath the flexor retinaculum. So that leads to the dorsal tunnel syndrome. Okay. So sometimes the people or the subjects who are having the flat feet, pes planus. So that also the reason for they also might get the dorsal tunnel syndrome because of the medial longitudinal arch is almost flat, so that leads to the pes planus, and those people also prone for the dorsal tunnel syndrome. So that's about the back of leg, and to summarize all the structures, the muscles, vessels, nerves of back of leg, their origin, insertion, and nerve supply of the muscles. Hope you know the superficial strata, the deep strata muscles. Superficially, we have gastrocnemius, plantaris, soleus, very important short notes, and deep muscles, we have flexor digitorum longus, flexor hallucis longus, and tibialis posterior, a very important muscle called popliteus, which is what is called unlocking muscle of the knee joint. And the soleus, special mention here, very important, peripheral heart. Why it is peripheral heart, I should explain. The tendo-Achilles, its formation and attachments. So the superficial strata muscles that unite the tendons of these three muscles unite from the triceps surae. That's why it is always called triceps surae. So that forms the strongest tendon, what is called tendo-Achilles. It's attached to the calcaneum. So these are the questions expected from the back of leg. So mainly the peripheral heart is for 2 marks, and the tendo-Achilles for 2 marks. The unlocking muscle, popliteus, for the 5 marks.